Let's see how many people actually join a random stream at 5:45 Central Time on Wednesday, July 20th. Actually, the reason that I'm doing this stream out of the blue is today we were supposed to have an interview with Russian Adam. And unfortunately, Russian Adam had to cancel. He was not feeling well. So I figured I would do a random stream, see how many people would join. It's completely out of the blue here, but I figured I would just hop on and chat about some things and see if anyone wanted to hop on with me. But mostly I wanted to let you guys know that, the interview with Russian Adam, unfortunately, is not going to happen today because he is not feeling well. So I'll probably have to repeat that a million times because as people randomly, kind of hop on here, they'll probably be expecting Russian Adam to join. And unfortunately, he is not going to be able to make it today. As you can see, I'm all suited up, ready for our interview, but he was not feeling well. And hey, Bren, thanks for joining, brother. Like I said, I'll probably have to repeat this a million times, but sadly, Russian Adam won't be able to make it today. He's feeling under the weather. So he said he's hoping to be able to join us tomorrow or the day after. And so I figured I would just do a quick stream, maybe drop the link, talk about kind of what I've been wearing. Thank you. Black Monday, welcome. Good to see you. Hope you're well. I wore my suit. I wore my tie just for our interview with Russian Adam. I do take these things seriously, believe it or not. I was a little disappointed, but we will make it happen. I'd rather have 100%, Russian Adam feeling well and not under the weather and able to chat and have a fantastic stream, interview than Russian Adam at 40 or 50% because he's feeling sick, and it's better this way. It's better anyways to have him at 100% and feeling well. So Russian Adam, we hope you are quick on the recovery, my friend. I just thought I'd do a quick stream. If anyone wants to join, I'll try to drop the link in the comments if I can figure out how. Maybe I don't even know how to do that. Do I know how to do that? I don't know if I know how to do that even. I might not be smart enough to be able to drop the link in the comments. Let's try this again, shall we? Yeah, I don't think I'm smart enough to drop the link in the comments. I'll have to get some training on this app. But long story short, I got off work. I was getting ready for the Russian Adam interview, and he called and said he wasn't feeling well. So we'll have to push it off. But I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. So while we're waiting, if anyone's going to kind of hop in, I did send the link to Rich randomly. I don't know if Rich Mitch is going to be willing to hop on or not. But what's happening, Flower Girl B? Good to see you. So let's talk about my scent of the day, I guess, while we're just kind of kicking the shit here. This fragrance is absolutely amazing. I really enjoyed wearing it to work today because I picked out a lot of facets that I don't think I got the first 3-4 times that I wore it. I haven't worn it a million times, but it's probably one of my favorite patchouli honey leather fragrances. And I say leather because the leather in the base really came through today. It is Pavarotti, maybe the greatest celebrity fragrance of all time. And Pavarotti is a discontinued fragrance, of course. I mean, you are on my channel, so what more can you expect? But Pavarotti is just one of the most enchanting honey patchouli leathers, and the leather actually is listed as a Russian leather in the base, which means there's probably some sort of There's probably some sort of birch tar in the base, and I kind of got a little bit of that today wearing it. Really, really enjoying this fragrance. So glad to have it. And it's definitely, we were talking, I know a topic we can talk about while we see if Rich is going to join. But we were talking on another channel about the difference between hidden gems and unicorns. And so, we'll talk a little bit about that because I do think it's a good topic. The Scented Dragon was doing a stream, and what's going on, Mike V? At least you can keep us entertained while we kick the shit here. For those of you just joining recently, I was just saying that unfortunately Russian Adam wrote. He called and said, hey, I won't be able to make it for the interview today. He was feeling under the weather. And since I already got all dressed up and ready to go, Rich just said he won't be able to make it today. So we'll just ride solo today since I don't know how to drop a link in the freaking comments. But he called and said he was feeling under the weather. So we're going to do the interview probably tomorrow or Friday, worst case. So in a day or two. So stay tuned. You guys don't run away on me. But I just figured I'd do a quick impromptu stream and talk shop about a couple things. So the first thing I was just talking about is Pavarotti. So we were talking maybe hidden gems versus unicorns. And, a unicorn would be something like Gucci Nobile or Gucci Nobile going for $700 for 100 ml, which is absolutely insane. It's a great fragrance, but it's not $700 for 100 ml. Great. And, this is now officially a unicorn. Guerlain's Derby is another example of a true unicorn now that it's officially discontinued. Prices of this are insane. $700, $800, $1,000. I saw a B bottle of Guerlain Derby for $1,200 on eBay, which a B bottle is one of the big, you're getting a lot of juice, but $1,200 on one fragrance. That really hurts the pocketbook. That's an example of a unicorn, something that most people in the community, they know about. And, if you say something like Gucci Nobile, I still don't know how to pronounce this properly. Gucci Nobile, we'll say. It sounds better than Nobile. And yes, thank you, Mike V. You're spot on. And he's gonna steal my thunder. I'm glad you're over COVID, my friend. We need a little lightheartedness up in here. But sadly, Russian Adam won't be able to join us. I was really looking forward to chatting with him today. The idea of the interview, though, just so you guys know, while we're just kicking the shit here, is, if you went back to my ingredients video, he sent me all these different ingredients. So I kind of lumped them together into, this is like the bases. So this is where you're going to find like the tobacco absolute and the hay absolute and the benzoin and the cacao absolute, the bases. And then we lumped in the deer musks, the civet, the ambergris into one little group. And then we lumped in the florals like the carnation, the violet leaf, the orris, stuff like that, the patchoulis. And then we lumped in the ouds and the sandalwood, which, by the way, yesterday I wore this, which is called Santal Mindy 1906. I just put it on before bed. This is actual Mysore sandalwood that Russian Adam sent to me. And he said, hey, try some of these on before our interview today. And so I wore this to bed last night. And I'll tell you what, it is absolutely stunning. It's like, the real Mysore sandalwood is so relaxing. So it's almost like a holy ingredient, like you've entered a temple. But as much as I enjoyed that, wearing some of these actual oud oils, like last night I wore this on the other wrist, classical Indian oud oil, just in its pure form. And, you just need the tiniest drop. If you just put like You know, forget wasting a blotter, but if you like break a plastic fork and use a piece of, you know, one of the ends and just dip it in there and put a little bit on your wrist, it just explodes and it lasts forever. And so I wore this to bed last night. So the idea of this video, which again, to those of you just joining, Russian Adam is sick, so he won't be able to join us today. So I'm just kind of doing a impromptu, just, you know, didn't want to leave you guys hanging stream. I know you were all looking forward to hearing Russian Adam drop his wisdom on us, but that'll happen tomorrow or Friday. So the idea of this stream was going to be twofold. Number one, we were going to go through these ingredients, which we will do tomorrow or Friday. And, you know, I just thought it would be really cool to go through it, talk about each one, how he perceives, let's say, the difference between classical Indian oud oil versus Thai plantation oud, you know, versus Barisma oud or Burma oud or whatever it is, all the different ones. And then we've got the different patchoulis, you know, how he perceives a smoky patchouli versus a highly aged patchouli. I just thought it would be a really cool video because I've never seen that type of content on YouTube before. You know, to have somebody like Russian Adam with his level of expertise and knowledge and, you know, his nose experience and experience with the individual ingredients, to have him on a stream, on a video, you know, telling us what he perceives the difference between Russian rose, Bulgarian rose, you know, Iranian rose. He sent me all these awesome little ingredients. That was part one. And then the second part of the interview was going to be him talking about his new Indian attar collection. I think he calls it the attar collection, if I'm not mistaken. I saw the actual script and what it's going to look like. It looks stunning. It's going to be 7 new fragrances, and he was going to talk a little bit more about that. Now we're getting closer and closer to launch, but unfortunately he got sick, so it's just me sitting up here, you know, one-man monkey, one-man show, just, you know, kicking the shit basically. I thought I'd just talk some fragrance since I got the tie on, and since I got off of work and I found out that the stream's not going to happen. But that's going to be the idea tomorrow or Friday, whenever we can knock it out. Is what's happening, Simon? Thanks for joining. Good to see you. Is, you know, Russian Adam is going to go through these ingredients with me. I'm going to be able to smell it. He's going to have the ingredient right there in his perfumer's organ. And we're going to, I just think that would be just such a badass video. No one does that. I mean, I've never seen, I don't think, a perfumer go through the individual ingredients. So I just thought that would be something special. And then for him to talk about his new releases, which he mentioned were many years in the making. He's been working on these for many years. And he said that many people call his like regular fragrances that he's been releasing in extrait form, like this. This is War and Peace. This is the one I was finally able to procure. I'm so glad I was able to find a bottle. I absolutely love this stuff. And Warren, you know, they call these type of fragrances that he put out almost like they feel like a sprayable attar. This is going to be a, you know, video on his real sprayable attars, because he's taking, you know, classical Indian attar making skills from hundreds and hundreds of years and putting them into a sprayable form. So I absolutely can't wait for his next collection to get my nose on some of those. So that was kind of on the agenda today. That was the plan anyways. Thank you. Thank you very much. Figured I'd try to go a little bit more professional with the haircut. So that was the plan. I hope he gets well soon. Sorry, I can't read that because I don't speak Spanish. At least we have Texas Ram. That's it. That's right. Although it was 106 degrees here in Texas Fahrenheit. They said it felt like 113 when I got off of work. It was damn hot. Sounds super cool. I agree. One of my favorites, vintage Bellamy. Speaking of Bellamy, prices on some of these vintages are absolutely insane. What's happening, interference? So I wore Pavarotti today, and it was just perfect. Even though it's leathery and it's got that patchouli that you can definitely sense. I mean, the patchouli is in your face, and you know how some fragrances have that patchouli note, but it's not its background. This is straight out and out patchouli, almost like you would sense. It reminds me a little bit of fragrances like Givenchy Gentleman from 1974, which I just found out is discontinued, which is like, all of my favorites are just getting chopped. And you know, that's really disappointing because that made my top 10. Givenchy Gentleman was in my top 10 when I did my top 100 countdown. And so it smells a little bit like Givenchy Gentleman meets, just for those of you that have never smelled Pavarotti, meets Giorgio Beverly Hills. This one from the 80s, that kind of honey patchouli note. But what's amazing about Pavarotti is it has some damn interesting transitions and ingredients. It doesn't smell cheap to me at all. It smells like fantastic materials were used. And it even has stuff like ivy in the top. You know, for a patchouli honey leather to have an interesting note like ivy, the only fragrance I can think of that has an ivy note, I think would be like Amouage Beach Hut Man. And that's an expensive niche fragrance. So for a designer and a celebrity fragrance at that, I think Pavarotti, while it doesn't fall into the, you know, it doesn't fall into the unicorn realm because it's not selling for 500 bucks yet. Hopefully never. But it also doesn't fall into the hidden gem because it's not 10, 20, $30. I mean, the hidden gem stuff I would consider maybe something like a hidden gem that was, I can't read that. Oh, wait, here we go. Ah, love your channel. Thank you. Thank you. You translated it to English, my friend. Much obliged. You know, something like this. Like Heike sent me a bottle of explosive. Oh, you get back here, explosive. Let's try this again, shall we? Heike sent me a bottle of explosive. And this is like this is a cheaper fragrance. It's not a cheap fragrance, but you could find bottles. This is a 50 ml bottle. I just looked before this video. And you can find bottles of this for under $30. I would say that's more of a, you know, a hidden gem in the vintage world. You know, it's discontinued. It is. It's from the 80s. And it smells much higher quality than, you know, the 20 to 30 bucks you can buy 50 ml for. And that's the kind of thing I would consider a hidden gem, something that is, you know, maybe discontinued for a long, long time. Like this fragrance, let's see if I can find it here. This fragrance right here, Maxim's Pour Homme, this has been discontinued like as long as I was alive, it feels like, you know? And it's a Dominique Ropion. So it's a master perfumer. It's long discontinued. The only box you can buy it in is the short ingredient list. Yes, spot on, Mike. An operatic patchouli, spot on. So the only box you can buy it in is the short ingredient list, pre-IFRA and all the crazy stuff they've done. I did get a haircut. Thank you, my friend. And you can still find bottles of this Maxim's Pour Homme floating around for, you know, 35, 40 bucks for 50 ml. That is such a steal, especially if you like a little bit of animalic touch in your fragrance. It's amazing. So these would be, I think, examples of hidden gems, you know, stuff that is discontinued. It's no longer being produced. It smells, to someone who is following their nose and not following the trend, it smells very high quality, that kind of stuff. Because what's happening with some of these perfumes, and we were talking about this on the Scented Devil's Instagram stream he did the other day. I would say Maxim's is, it's got a little bit of It's got a little bit of Chanel Antaeus, I think, from the bite. Even though there's no castoreum listed, I think there's castoreum, but it's lavender and it's leather and oak moss with an old school carnation note. If you like that floral carnation, old school style, like if you like something like Salvador Dali Porome, you know, they're similar, but whereas Dali Porome relies heavier on, I think, that fougere structure with civet. Maxim's Porome is going to be closer to, you know, the way that Antaeus was constructed. I think there's castoreum in Maxim's Porome, but it's very 80s, very gentlemanly and classy. But that would be an example of a hidden gem to me. But when people buy these unicorns and they just get so hyped up, you know, they spend $800 on Gucci Nobile. They spend $1,000 on the B bottle of Darby. You know, as somebody who does these YouTube videos, are they going to have the integrity enough to stand up there and say, hey, I don't really care for it as much. Maybe it's not worth $1,000. That was kind of the conversation that we were having. I thought it was an interesting conversation because I never thought of it that way, because when I do these videos, I just try to kind of be as honest as possible and leave price out of it, although you have to mention it when it gets that high. But for Pavarotti, if you can find, I think these are 100 mils. No, these are 75 mils. They do 75 and they do 125 mils. If you can find 75 mils for under $100, this is an absolute steal. It's an amazing masculine fragrance. Probably the best, I would say probably the best celebrity fragrance ever created. How's that for a line? Can anyone think of a? Yes, spot on. Can anyone think of a? Yeah, it is. It's an amazing patchouli, isn't it? So Pavarotti is it's very similar to the construction of Giorgio Beverly Hills, but it uses interesting notes, like I said, and that leather note in the dry down really hit me today. You know, when I wore Pavarotti before, I feel like my nose kind of honed in on the patchouli because it is front and center in Pavarotti as well. Mike V said an operatic patchouli, and he's spot on. But my nose just kind of honed in on that patchouli and honey because that's really what I love. But today, while I was working, for some reason, maybe it was the changes in temperature, because I did go out to go grab some lunch and then I came back. So I was in the heat and then I was in the AC. But that Russian leather note just popped today, and it's absolutely stunning. And you guys know I love leather. So this was my scent of the day, and it was absolutely amazing. I'm a huge fan. That is a big stamp of approval. That's one Rich Mitch absolutely nailed. He's loved that forever and ever. If you go back on his channel. Yeah, I've never smelled Carnal Flower, believe it or not. Hopefully soon. Thank you, Anuj. If I knew how to send you, actually, I can send you a link. You want to hop on, Anuj? You want to do a random hop on Channel Ramsey for the very first time? They try to sell them for 800 on eBay. Yeah. You'll see the real amounts. Yeah, that's very true. Sometimes those headline numbers are just to kind of, you know, hope a sucker comes in and buys it for that. But many a times you can negotiate with them, or, you know, whatever it is, try to do like package deals is what I'll do. Sometimes if someone's selling multiple fragrances I want, I'll say, hey, I'll buy them both if you get, you know, if you get the price here. So Rachel, thanks for joining. I was just saying Russian Adam is under the weather. Unfortunately, he called and said he won't be able to make it. So we're just doing this impromptu stream, just me and you guys, just kind of kicking the shit. And you know, he's gonna try and make it for an interview. Absolutely, Anuj. Anytime, brother. You're always welcome. He's gonna try and make it on in the next day or two, hopefully. So I'll make sure I change up my tie and, you know, mix things up for him, because it is an honor speaking with him. And you know, One thing you guys probably don't know, I haven't shared it too much on the channel, but ever since, he sent me this, he sent me these, samples that I did early impressions on some of his fragrances, like Antiquity. If you search my channel, you can find some of the early impressions. Is we've kind of stayed in touch, and we've been texting each other, and he's been sharing, photos of some of the stuff he's working on. He is such a humble, amazing. I mean, he's such a humble human being for the spot he's in. To have risen to this level. And he'll say, "Oh, I'm not an icon. I'm not a legend." He absolutely is. I don't think. Sometimes I honestly don't think he realizes how amazing some of his creations are. And so just getting to chat with him and how open he is, sharing some of his knowledge in his journey that he's came to, and just sometimes being just a friend and checking in on me. It's been an amazing start to a friendship, let's say, that me and him have had. So been very blessed to have gotten to know him. Yes, that's right. Although with shipping costs and inflation and the heat, oh my God, I couldn't imagine what one of Rich Mitch's 50-pound packages would cost to ship across the Atlantic nowadays. Could you imagine? It would probably be $700 of just shipping costs. Um, I'm very glad and grateful, Anuj, me and you knocked some of these purchases out over the last few years, because shipping, inflation, just the price of vintage perfume has gone absolutely insane. And that's why, if you are a vintage hunter, I think it's important to try to find some middle ground, because here's a brand, for example, that I got off of the news just recently, and I wore it recently, and I talked about it recently. But this brand is Basil Uomo, and Basil Uomo had a flanker called Basil Uomo Forte, which kind of goes into this Oriental, like, you know um, vibe. It was the 80s. Obsession was big, as you guys know. But if you like, old school Schiffer fragrances, if you like even some of the fougères of the 70s, like Paco Rabanne Pour Homme, this is an amazing find. I actually looked. So there's a story about the distributor. Waruska and Joel is the distributor. You probably won't be able to see it, but you might be able to see that it's a short ingredient list. So before Waruska and Joel, it was Sirpea, Sirpea, which is what's written on the bottom of the, I don't know if you guys will be able to see it or not, but it's written on the bottom of the Forte flanker that Anuj sent me. And basically, Waruska and Joel decided to take the licenses back from Sirpea, we'll call it, and start making their fragrances on their own again. And so whether you get the Basil Uomo under Sirpea or Waruska and Joel, as long as you get the short ingredient list, you're getting one of the vintages with the big oak moss. I don't think they would have a reason to reformulate. So, and you can find these Waruska and Joel bottles. I found one on eBay just yesterday, or a couple days ago when I checked, and it was like $40 for the vintage. So that's what I'm talking about as far as knowing the difference between, a real unicorn that's going to cost you $800 and, maybe something that isn't being hyped by all these channels, like these Basil fragrances, isn't being hyped by all the vintage channels, but you can still find amazing vintage fragrances at a good price if you're willing to kind of explore, go a little bit deeper. You got to go past the first couple trees in the forest kind of thing. That's right. Rich Mitch has VIP status. Yes, I did. I finally got a haircut. Eugene, welcome. Welcome, my friend. Can't wait to try your fragrance, by the way. if you want to hop on and join me in this one-man circus here that I'm performing, absolutely let me know and I'll send you the link. I don't know how to send it in the chat, so I'll have to WhatsApp it to you or something. Sir Paya Manley, thank you. Something like Balenciaga Pour Homme, that would probably be a unicorn, unfortunately, because everyone already knows about it. The prices have already been driven up. Yeah, I mean, I think, to be fair, though, I do think, like, this is a 30 ml bottle. I have 100 ml under lock and key. This is a 30 ml bottle of Balenciaga Pour Homme. And I think you can still find bottles of this on eBay for $70 or $80, which is quite frankly a little expensive for 30 mils. But, you know, if you have a big collection, like I've had this 30 mil now for, I don't know, 2 years probably, give or take, say 2 or 2.5 years. And that's the dent that I put in it. It's right there. There's the bottle, there's the dent, you know, and again, I do have a larger 100 mil, but I think I only wore that like once. So sometimes when you have a big collection, there's absolutely nothing wrong with grabbing a 30 mil, and it'll last you longer than you think. Can you? Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's brutal, man. It's real brutal. Scent of the day was Pavarotti. We were talking about that before you joined, Rachel. I'm going to send you some of this, by the way, so you'll be able to sniff this out and let me know if you agree with my take on it. The patchouli, honey, and that Russian leather in the base is absolutely amazing. So I would say fragrances like Balenciaga Pour Homme, you know, Darby, these are the true unicorn fragrances where the prices have already been amped up. And the other stream, we were talking about it yesterday. They were saying it, you know, it's almost not worth talking about it because everyone knows about stuff like this. But I don't necessarily know if that's true. I mean, you know, you and I and the real fragrance community might know about it, but you know, somebody maybe starting out new, yeah, something's going around, I guess. You and Russian Adam are under the weather. The two creators. Can't wait to smell your fragrance, man. Can't wait to get my nose on it. You know, it's somebody new who might not know about the about how the categories of fragrance go and what was popular and all that. They may not know about Balenciaga Pour Homme. They may not know about Darby or stuff like that. So I think I'm still gonna, you know, talk about them. Thank you, brother. It's good to see you, Gene. I hope, I wish you much and much success on your first release. I wore an Antoine Lee the other day. What was it? Oh, it was this one. It was Je suis un homme. I think this might be my favorite Antoine Lee fragrance. Have you smelled this, Eugene? Je suis un homme. Oh, it's fantastic. I was telling Rich Mitch that I think this might be my favorite Antoine Lee creation of all time. And he said, hold your horses. You haven't smelled Eugene's stuff yet. I was like, you're exactly right. But to be fair, I haven't smelled a lot from Antoine Lee. I haven't smelled anything from his Eris line. I haven't smelled so many things that he did. He did that Attitude, I think, from the early 2000s as well. What did he do? Let's see. What does old Parfumo say? Okay, so he did Armani Code, which I have a decant of, I think. I'll do an early impression of that. He did Wonderwood from Comme des Garçons, which I think I also might have a decant of. He did Adventure by Davidoff. I've never smelled that one. Secretions Magnifique, of course. who else would do such a daring fragrance? You got to give it to him there. Tom of Finland, which is the other Attaque Orange fragrance that he did. This is what the old bottles look like. The new bottles are almost completely clear, and but this is what the old Tom of Finland looks like. He did Rien, of course, which is the leather everyone talks about for Eldo, and Cafe Rose, which, I mean, it's good, but I feel like that's where Tom Ford started to kind of go. Rose, Cafe Rose, Rose Prick, those weren't really my thing. Oh, he did this would have been a great example of a hidden gem back in the day. Actually, if you pull this fragrance up and look it up on the internet, or you just go to YouTube and pull the fragrance up and look at the videos for this Comme des Garçons Girl. It's actually Pharrell Williams Girl, but Girl was a huge flop. In fact, Christo did a video on Girl, and he said he got like the set that came with like an extra decant or something for like $18 or something. And for the longest time, I got this tester, this 100 ml tester, for probably $22 on fragrancebuy.ca years ago. And now it has been officially discontinued now. And now the cheapest I can find it for is about $90 on eBay. And I noticed the exact same thing happened with Hanai Mori. This is now discontinued. I don't know if you guys knew that, but Hanai Mori, HM, Hanai Mori is discontinued now. And this was another case where whenever I did my, sorry, I'm not good at multitasking and talking here. Whenever I did my first cheapie video, this made the list because it was under $30. Now it's 70, 80, 90 on eBay already. The scalpers are already getting in. Now, I don't really care for this fragrance as much. It's a little too sweet for my taste. And, you know, it came out in the 90s when CK1 and that whole unisex thing was popular. And it's not that it's a bad fragrance. It's just not as much to my taste nowadays. I'm glad I have it now that price skyrocketed, so at least I can talk about it on the channel. Yes, get better, Eugene. So that's right. I'll never learn. I refuse. That's how I go against the grain. I just never learn. What are you most interested in recently? Any houses or materials? I've been really into looking for Narcissus, Frags, Chiffres, and Galbanum. You know, to be honest, I have been going through a no-buy July. I don't know if I told you guys. I think I did. But I've been going through this no-buy July, and I've refused to buy. There were some things that I probably would have bought. One of the guys that I bought this from, he actually is he is a subscriber, and I bought some stuff for him. Jonathan 1970 has bought a lot of stuff from him, but I bought this Bois Mysterio from him, if you guys remember my unboxing of this. And he sent me a list with some things at some great prices. He said, hey man, selling some more stuff if you want it. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take this, this, and this. And I was like, oh no, I'm in this no-buy July. So I've not really been buying anything, but what it's allowed me to do is, yeah, I didn't care for Rien Intense. I like just the regular Rien much more personally. I think Rien Intense is almost too much. Rien has a lot of incense in and of itself, and I think Rien is intense enough. Rien Intense is like too much. But my no-buy July has basically allowed me to kind of just focus on the collection that I have and enjoy, you know, with as big as my collection is, sometimes it's hard to enjoy the things that you really want and love. And so I've just been kind of trying out some of the samples people have already been kind enough to send me, and just kind of enjoying the the fragrances that I know and love. Like Pavarotti's been on my love list for a long time, but when you sometimes fragrances get lost, is what I'm trying to say, especially when you're in this cycle of constantly trying new things, constantly buying new things. You want to wear the new stuff you bought. I mean, I bought this. I realized this the other day. I bought MFK's Oud, and I've never worn it once. I've got a full bottle. I've never worn it once. Never one time did I give it a full wear. I wore it to bed once, but I've never. Rich of England. Yes, that's right. How behind on the comments am I? And so, sometimes you get into that groove where you find something you love it, and then you just set it aside and you're on to the next thing. And I just want to kind of go back and enjoy. Yes, I would agree with this, Julio. You absolutely need Rhiannon Tom of Finland. They are amazing leather fragrances, and in fact, they use this. Both of them have, I think, both of them have this note called safraline, which is like a one of the big oil houses versions of saffron. So, but I absolutely love it. I love the way he used it in Tom of Finland and Rhiannon. And that's saffron, safraline, if you want to be exact, with frankincense and Rhiannon and leather. Oh, they're just amazing fragrances. And then you add the fact that Je suis un homme is a leather fragrance as well. And this one is discontinued. I haven't checked prices on Je suis un homme, but if you find this for a good price, that's one I would easily say, if you know my taste and you like what I like, go for it. Agreed, Rachel. Absolutely agreed. So excited to see Eugene. I was telling him that video he did in the lake, saying how come he's using better ingredients than some of the bigger brands. That's his truth. He just looked like he trained for a marathon. He ran the race. He ran the triathlon, and he won. That's what he looks like. Just bask in the glow, my friend. Enjoy it. It goes fast. Enjoy the moment of success. Taram by D Sol. I've never smelled that, Simon. Old school. I own Girl. I really love the bottle. Paid 25 skeletons. It came with the travel. That's it. You must have got the same. You must have got the same kit I was talking about. That was on Christo's video of Girl. But this used to be an example of a hidden gem, because it was made by a niche house. Comme des Garçons is a niche house to me, just because they have a shirt and a pair of sneakers here and there does not make them anything else. They're a niche house to me, and to have that level of attention to detail and quality, and a fragrance that just for whatever reason it didn't sell. Maybe it was the weird eyes, the artist Cause. I don't know if you guys are into that stuff, but Cause designed this bottle, and for whatever reason it just didn't sell. Maybe people confused it because the name is Girl, but this is a completely unisex fragrance. In fact, I would even say Girl leans masculine, because the fragrances that it is close enough, the fragrances that it will remind you of are things like Fahrenheit, because of that violet leaf, and it has this lavender note that's like amped up. So if you like Fahrenheit and you like lavender, this is like Fahrenheit lavender with this pepperiness sprinkled in. And Antoine Lee did a fantastic job on this one. It's sad it didn't sell, but of course, now that it's discontinued, all the vultures are hopping in. With who? Me? You think Russian Adam is going to collab with me? No way. I mean, that would be amazing, but you know, that would be amazing, but don't hold your breath for that one. Yes, that's right. Why no by July? Seems silly. Why did we start a no by July? It was something Eugene and Rich did last year, I think, and it just kind of stuck. And especially with the inflation and everything that's been going on, you know, gas prices burning a hole in everyone's pocket, I just figured, you know what? I better just use it as an excuse to kind of enjoy what I have. Plus, people have been sending me all this amazing stuff thanks to you guys. Like, for example, if you guys didn't see my video, Liz Moore sent me her sample set, which was absolutely amazing. That she did that. I haven't smelled these yet, so I don't know if the fragrances are amazing, but I assume they would be because her work, the two that I know and love, you know, I bought full bottles of, which is Anubis and sorry about the reflection. The room in here doesn't have the best lighting. I need to get like a spotlight or something. And then the second one is Salome. Salome is my favorite by far. It's right up my alley. It's in the realm of Diaghilev, but it uses, well, first of all, it's like 1/10 of the price of Diaghilev, and it's still a niche fragrance. But it uses the note of Hyrax, which is a very tough animalic note to use. It's not used very often because Western noses kind of take it. It doesn't appeal to many Western noses, if you will, but the way she used it in Salome is amazing. So I have 2 full bottles from her that I know and love, and she agreed to do, yes, that's right. Yeah, it's nuclear, man. There's no reason for that. But she agreed to do a interview with me pretty soon at some point. So that's a blessing as well. So between the sample sets I've been going through, my perfume fairy godfather / mother sent me, you know, samples of Spirit of Dubai, which I just finished. You know, if you've watched some of those first impression videos, I really like the Oud, I like Majalis, and I like Taroth. But everything else was kind of even the leather one made on, I didn't really care for. So I've been kind of trying some of the samples people have sent me, and I've just been enjoying my collection. That's really been it, you know, and now I've got whole new samples to go through, not to mention, you know, Heinke sent me some samples I haven't even gotten to yet. I have so many samples. I could probably go the rest of the year where every single day I did a video on a first or early impression. I could probably go from now until the end of the year. Like, that's how many samples I just have built up that I want to talk about. But that goes back to kind of balance, you know. I want to also enjoy the stuff that I love. Like I mentioned Pavarotti. That was my scent of the day. And we talked about Balenciaga Pour Homme. You know, like, I want to enjoy and wear these. I don't just want to do samples that I'm not familiar with. And then when you find something you love, you don't wear it because you wear something else the next day. So sometimes you just have to kind of take a step back and enjoy what you have. That was the idea of No by July. Let's see what else we got in the comments. What's happening, Abe? Welcome. For those of you joined and have no clue what's going on, a brief recap. Basically, Russian Adam, who we were set to do a interview. Is that a super chat? What do I do with this? Do I have to do the Mr. Svelli? Thank you for the super chat. I don't even know how he does it, but his little interesting voices that he has going on. But seriously, thank you. I don't think anyone's ever given me a super chat. You're the first. How does it highlight where the thing goes down, or do I don't know how this all works, man. I'm not a real YouTuber. But excuse me while I hydrate. So that was kind of the idea. Let's see what the super chat says. Have you ever tried or heard of Elsha 1776? No, I can't say that I have. But thank you for the super chat, my friend. I will look it up right now. Elsha 1776 Cologne. The release year is unknown. They're not saying it's 1776. Oh, it's a Russian leather? Oh shit, I'll put that on the wish list. That will instantly go to the wish list if it's a Russian leather. I love Russian leathers. I'll show you a couple others that I know and love. Hang on one moment and I'll grab it. Oh no, I brought it back to I put it under lock and key. I've shown them off on some of my other leather videos. So if you just look those up, you'll see some of the other Russian leathers. There's one from Del Oro called Russian Leather 2, and it's absolutely amazing. Amazing for, I ended up getting it for like $12 or something. The guy just gave it to me. I don't think he knew his aunt died or something and she had it. And but yes, thank you. You're now officially linked. Mangianosis. Sorry to butcher your name, but thank you for the super chat. It is much appreciated. Ordered a vintage tester of Polo. The Polo? The original Polo? This one? Polo green? Polo? We talked about Carlos Benaim, I think, on this channel just the other day. Never heard of Spend Timber. Yes, that's right. So yeah, we talked about Carlos Benaim and his creations and how he transitioned in his career. I mean, there's a guy who went from polo green to music for a while. You know, what a career. I mean, they are, even though music for a while is absolutely amazing, you know, it's on just a completely different plane. It's on a different plane of existence than polo green. And for the same perfumer to be able to do both, I think a lot of those old school perfumers, like we talked about, the guy that made Paco Rabanne Pour Homme, and how he only made like 3 or 4 fragrances. His name was Jean Martel, and he only made, he made Paco Rabanne Pour Homme and Jules, or Jules. And that's basically it. He made like 1 or 2 other things that no one cared about. And then he just dropped off the face of the earth. You know, I think some of those fragrances just, yes. Oh, you did. Nice. Good to hear it. I love hearing stuff like that, honestly. I mean, when I hear stuff like that you bought it on my recommendation and love it, that just, it honestly just reinforces why I do this. Because, you know, it's when I started this, I wasn't too sure I would enjoy it, actually, because I always felt that, you know, perfume, I felt like even though I would watch videos and streams and stuff like that, I always felt it was like a personal thing. You know what I mean? Like it was something that I did. It was part of my routine in the morning. I would wake up, I would wear my fragrance, I would break it down, but it was for me. It was like, you know, it was mine, and I was kind of holding on to it. And a couple people asked me, hey, why don't you do a channel? Why don't you, you should do a channel. And it was actually Rich and Eugene that pushed me to do the channel. And, you know, if you go watch my very first video, you'll notice I've got like a bandage on my nose. I had surgery on my nose. I couldn't smell, all kind of stuff. And, you know, it turned out that as I began to do the videos and I started to hear the feedback, and, you know, I realized that it was something that not only could I help people potentially make a difference in their collections and their understanding of fragrance, but what is this? What do I do with this, Eugene? Thank you for hydration. How does this thing work? I don't know how super chats work. Do I have to click on it or? Does it automatically pop up for you guys? All right. Thank you. What am I supposed to say? Thank you for the super chat. No, but seriously, thank you, Jane. You don't have to give me money. I'm supposed to be giving you money once I can buy your damn fragrance. So, but yes, you guys do have to stay hydrated. And a little alcohol never hurt anyone. But when it's 106 degrees like it was when I got out of work today, you do have to stay hydrated. What are some good high heat fragrances? Let's change topics. Let's see, what else can we talk about? Oh, I know what we can talk about. There is something, because I have some sad news. So you guys know I've been relatively hard on the house of Amouage lately, but if you go back to my collection, you look behind me, you see all of the stuff there. You will know that it's one of my favorite houses. It just is, especially when Christopher Chong was there. But I've been very harsh on the path they've taken since Christopher Chong left, unfortunately. And Amouage as a house has almost never discontinued things since they've began to put them out in their recent line. So there are things that are discontinued. I'm not saying there's not. Like if you go back to the 2000s, you'll notice there's fragrances like there's one that was called Ubar. That's discontinued. But most of the new stuff that came out from the time Christopher Chong took on the creative director role at Amouage to modern times, they've kept everything that they've done. All the library collections, all of the Epic Man, Woman, Jubilation 25, Beloved, all the stuff that was there, they kept. Honor, everything they put out since Christopher Chong, they kept. Someone left me a comment, and it's someone who I trust, and said that they heard that Fate Man and Fate Woman is getting the axe. And that kind of made me sad. I don't know if it's true or not. It's a rumor. But if that's true, that's a big shift in methodology for the brand, because I think they almost took it as a as a badge of honor that they didn't discontinue their fragrances. They kept everything around. If you wanted to go buy Mythsman or Interlude or whatever it was, you could still buy it. And so if they're actually discontinuing Fate, and I completely understand why Fate Man is discontinued, because this is a challenging fragrance. Some people think it's a cumin bomb. It's not. It's a very complex fragrance. There's a lot of cumin in it. And if you said, Ramsey, pick one fragrance that epitomizes the note of cumin, it would probably be Fate Man. But there's so much more going on. It's not just a I was doing the Mr. Smelly voice out of love, my friend. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Welcome to the channel. Can't believe you're here, by the way. It's a pleasure to have you. And thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. I don't know how to do the voice, man. I'm sorry. But yeah, Fate Man is it is a cumin bomb. Because cumin really hits you from the beginning, and they did not shy away from using that cumin, but there's so much more going on here. There's an amazing note of Immortelle. Someone said they're on a kick to get some of the best Immortelle fragrances. I think it might have been Jonathan. You have to get Fate Man if you don't have it yet. There's this cumin, Immortelle, Cistus labdanum, lavender, and there's an insane note of licorice in the man. You guys are out of control. What are you guys doing? Why are you giving me money? Stop it. Stop it, Anuj. Thank you. Thank you very much. Honestly, you guys don't have to do that. I did not do this live stream for super chats. I'll tell you that. I did it because I was going to tell you that Russian Adam could not make it today. Unfortunately, he fell ill. And I just thought that I would just hop on and kick the shit with you for a little bit. But thank you for the super chat, seriously. But you guys keep your money. With inflation and everything, you're gonna have to save up for some of these bottles. But Fate Woman is the one that really gets the praise by the people in the know. Somebody get Margie. um, by the way, if you guys are here and you don't know who Anuj Patel is, whenever you hear me say, "Oh, I got this fragrance from Enchante," I actually did get this one from Enchante, by the way. This is an Enchante fragrance, this Luciano Pavarotti that I have. This Gucci Nobile is an Enchante that he sent me with an order. I made a big order. He sent me this tester as a freebie with an order. And people, I was mentioning how ridiculous the prices of Gucci Nobile are. That's why it's important to make a relationship with somebody in the industry that you know. Sometimes he'll send me stuff in an order, and it'll be a fragrance. And I'm like, man, that actually was a hole in my collection. And here he is, filling holes in my collection. It's like he knows my collection better than I do. So if there's, I doubt there's anyone here that doesn't know Enchante. But if you don't know Enchante perfumes, check out Anuj. And he's probably the most trustworthy person that I've ever met in this industry. There are hardly ever problems in all of the orders that we did. And I think the one time there was a problem, he instantly made it right. So Anuj, thank you, my friend. Honestly, you guys don't have to do super chats. But just you being here is good enough for me. Okay, so Fate Woman is the one that's actually the one that the critics love, because Fate Woman is a Chypre fragrance, a proper Chypre fragrance. Luca Turin said it's one of the best Chypre fragrances in modern times. That's actually what he said. He gave it 5 stars. He said that Fate Man sucks, basically, is what he said, which I disagree. I think Fate Man is awesome, but I'm attached to Fate Man because when this came out in 2013, this is the time where my interest in fragrances just went from, it was on the rise, but once I really got into the house of Amouage, it was like a rocket ship. When I started to smell some of the stuff from Amouage, that's when my eyes just went, big as saucers. And so this is a love for me because I'm emotionally connected to it. I mean, you can see I put a decent sized dent in that bottle, but even this is having it many, many years, and look at the dent. You really don't need much. It is a very strong, powerful fragrance. It lasts all day, but it will be challenging to the untrained nose because it hits you with that cumin. But Fate Woman is the one that the critics love, because Fate Woman is a proper Chypre fragrance. If you like fragrances like, for example, if you like, let me see if I have a bottle floating around here. Oh, I do. Okay. If you like Opium for Women from 1977, this is a vintage. You can see the 80 degrees right there. And the original EDTs had built-in sprayers, by the way. So this is a Charles of the Ritz Opium, YSL Opium. This is a Charles of the Ritz YSL Opium. And these fragrances are somewhat linked in a way, in my mind, because even though there are differences, lots of differences, it's an Amouage. This is almost like an Oriental Chypre, spicy Chypre fragrance that uses a very interesting chili note. Man, Rachel, I don't even know how to find this. Once you guys don't have to do super chats, but thank you, Rachel. I'll send you some stuff to sniff. I promise. I'll get that out. I've got your master list. I will put it in the mail within the next week, and you'll get to sniff some of those masculines you've never smelled before. But thank you for the super chat. Seriously, you guys are way, way too kind. I know I always say you guys are the best, but seriously, I have the best. 1,400 subscribers, or however many we're at now. The best 1,400 subscribers that a guy could start a channel with. Honestly, you guys are amazing. But Fate Woman has this Oriental vibe, but it has this very interesting chili note. So you get this chili, you get this narcotic rose, you know, very dense, heavy, narcotic rose with that lovely amouage frankincense. And this is a pre-magnetic cap bottle that I found. It's actually one of the click-on bottles, one of the caps that just snaps into place. But if you're, if you're a fan of things like, Youth Dew, JHL by Aramis, Opium, Cinnabar, and you want to smell a niche version of that, there is an unbelievable Oriental / Chypre fragrance. Luca Turin called it a Chypre. It's listed as an Oriental spicy on Parfumo. That's why I say it's kind of both. If Luca Turin calls it a Chypre, I'm going to go with the Chypre. He's probably correct. But it does feel like, it's got that Chypre DNA. It's got the bergamot. It's got the labdanum. It's got the oak moss. But there's even this leather, and you guys know I love leather. Even if there's a tiny drop of it, I'm a huge leather fan. The leather in the Pavarotti is absolutely stunning. And there's a note of castoreum that mixes with that vanilla. So you get the spiciness from the chili in the opening, spicy. Think about it like this. Think of Opium, the EDT, but with that cinnamon, take out the clove, add pepper. With the cinnamon, you get this amazing chili note, which you I can't think of many fragrances that use that chili note to perfection the way that Fate Woman does. And for a guy, again, I've said this a couple times, but these two amouages for women especially, Epic Woman, which is one of the most amazing tea frankincense fragrances you can buy, and Fate Woman, which is one of the most amazing Oriental Chypre fragrances in the niche world you can buy, are two of my 3 favorite women amouage fragrances that anyone can wear. But especially if you're a guy, the other one is Lyric Woman, because Lyric Woman almost feels more masculine than Lyric Man. It's almost like they pulled an okie doke on us. They made the rose fragrance, which I've got a bottle of the man's version. They made the men's version more fresh. There's this lime, angelica freshness with the rose, but the women's version is almost more animalic. It's spicier and more animalic and dirty, which is kind of what I prefer. But that's one that I'm still looking for a full bottle of, Lyric Woman. But it's fine. It's actually turning out to be quite hard to find a real bottle. You don't have a single amouage fragrance, JJ? 0? That must be corrected, my friend. Not that I dislike them, but just never was compelled to go full bottle of any. Wow. Well, to each their own, but I would think there would be at least 1 or 2 you would fall in love with. There's some beautiful stuff. Have you tried Fate Woman, the one we were just talking about? Oh, it's absolutely stunning for an Oriental. I mean, in the wintertime, when I want to wear something like this or Opium, I also mentioned Creed's Venezia. And I know we're just going off on random tangents here, but that's what happens when you do a random stream. And of course, the amazing Shalamar. I mean, those are the Orientals that I reach for. And the fact that Fate Woman is discontinued, if that's true, again, I don't know for sure. But if it is true that Fate Woman is discontinued, that is a real shame. I mean, Amouage is going in a new direction. They have a new fragrance out. I have a decant of it coming, so I hope to be able to upload a video of it in the next, we'll say, month or 2, because I can't pay for it yet because of my no buy July. So I'm going to pay the guy early in August, hopefully. I'm having it come in from Mudasir. And so I hope to be able to upload a video on the new Amouage Royal Tobacco at some point. But in the old days, I would just, yeah, that's a good point. Mr. Number 6, Bracken Man would, I think it would interest you, JJ, but you have to imagine a proper fougere, old school style, like Gucci Nobile, but with a gigantic clove note, enormous clove in Bracken Man. I like Portrayal Man and Bracken. Yeah, I like Portrayal too. I think Portrayal is heavily underrated. Portrayal, if you like fragrances like Fahrenheit with that violet leaf, this is the closest thing I've ever smelled to vintage Fahrenheit in a niche fragrance. And when it first came out, I didn't like it because I didn't understand it. I was like, what is this? And why is Amouage releasing this? This isn't an Amouage. You know, I was expecting Jubilation, Epic Man, and then they put out Portrayal Man. And while the bottle is one of the most beautiful bottles you'll ever see, with the gunmetal cap and the, you know, oil-like reflective bottle, when it first came out, it was listed with only 3 notes, and I forget what those 3 notes were. It was 2019. It came out. Pierre Negrin is the perfumer who did a lot of Amouages. He did Interlude and he did Journeyman and stuff like that. But it was listed with Violet Leaf, Vetiver, and Canary Islands Juniper, which is, I think, also known as Cade Oil. And so you get a little bit of that smokiness from the Cade in the base, but it's basically those 3 notes is what they've listed. Now, I think there's other stuff in here. I don't think there's 3 notes, but that's all Amouage gave you when it first came out. Man, I haven't messed with these comments in so long. I think like the comment section just like gave up on me as far as loading it goes. And, you know, when I smelled this, I was like, this is not an Amouage. Like, what is this? But for some reason, I kept reaching for it. Have you guys ever had one of those where you're like, you know what? This isn't my favorite fragrance, but you just want to keep wearing it? And that happened with me with Portrayal. Look at the dent I put in Portrayal. I don't know if you guys can see the juice, but it's right about here. It's a hell of a dent for me. And I just kept wearing it over and over and over, and I just fell in love with it. I mean, now I crave it. You know, there are times where I crave it, and it's so unique. It's a niche take on a proper Violet Leaf, but they got that gasoline opening to perfection. I mean, if you go in bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, knowing what to expect, you'll enjoy it. If you go in expecting another Jubilation 25, yes, interference. That 80 degrees on the opium bottle, if you want a vintage, that 80 degrees is how you can tell if, you know, if it's an older bottle. I think they stopped doing that sometime in the early 80s, 83 or 84. I'm not 100% sure though. But honestly, I have one of the bottles from, let's say, I want to say like turn of early 2000, like maybe even it is the year 2000, somewhere around there, and I love it. I mean, there are some differences, but I love my Opium EDT, even the one from 20 years ago. Now, the new stuff, I heard a story that they butchered this so bad that they actually had to call Jean-Louis Suizac out of retirement to fix the you know, screw up that they made, basically. that YSL did such a terrible reformulation at some point. They had to call Jean-Louis Suizac out of retirement, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. Yes, Charles of the Ritz Koros. I'm going to send you some of that, Rachel. I want you to compare and get back to me and tell me what you think. I do love Dia as well. Dia is one of the most amazing peony fragrances. You know, peony as a flower is a note that you don't see used in perfumery very often. And Bertrand Duchefort just absolutely nailed it here. This is such an amazing fragrance, and it doesn't get enough love. Dia Man is so classy. I mean, if you wanted to wear like an Amouage to work or as like a daily driver, and some of these super heavy ones, some of the super artistic ones, like we were talking about Fate with that giant cumin note, like you don't want to wear Fate to work and put everyone off, right? They'll think you ate it like a spicy Indian restaurant at 8 in the morning or something. Wear Dia. Dia is perfect for work because peony as a flower is one of the most amazing smells, I think, of any flower I've ever smelled, but it's very soft, you know, so you have to really stick your face in the flower to smell it. And so this is a perfect work fragrance because it lasts forever, but it doesn't project. And it's way more complex and beautiful than what 99.9% of people are wearing in the office. So Dia is absolutely stunning. Now, this is an older bottle. This is before the recent switchover. You can tell actually by the way that the batch code is written on the bottom. The new ones look a little bit different. The newer bottles look more like, let's see, I don't have one right here to show you. Do I have a newer bottle that you can see? Maybe you won't be able to see it well. Maybe you'll be able to see. Let's try. This is an example of, I think, what the newer batch codes look like. You can kind of see the difference there versus what the old batch codes of Amouage bottles look like. You can tell the difference in the style of the way it's written. But yes, if you want to wear an Amouage as a daily driver, Dia Man would probably be my choice, my number one choice. Or another fantastic daily driver, since we're pulling out the fragrance, let's just pull all the fragrances out. Beloved Man. Beloved is another one that doesn't get enough love. This is a very interesting fragrance with grapefruit, elemi, and that elemi gives it this almost like frankincense like quality, but it's actually much more lemony and fresh and vetiver and iris. So there's iris, jasmine, saffron, and you can definitely smell the saffron here. Elemi, grapefruit opening. There is grapefruit and orange, but it's mostly grapefruit. And then you get this vetiver gaiac wood thing in the dry down with a little bit of leather. But this is also stunningly gorgeous. It's not, you know, if you're someone that likes the Myths Man, Interlude Man, that kind of thing, Beloved and Dia, they might seem a little bit too, they might seem a little soft or whatever it is. They're not, you know, beast mode, if you will. But sometimes you don't always want a scent that's going to last 24 hours and everyone in the room will smell you. You know what you mean? Sometimes, yes, I love JHL too, Fosco. I've never smelled Bracken Woman. Is there anything better than the oregano in Interlude Man? Yes, that's right. That's such a unique note. And, you know, they then did the flanker called Interlude Black Iris, and they took it out. They took the oregano note out from the original, and they put in rosemary, which is much more traditional masculine. It's what's in Paco Rabanne pour Homme. But I like the oregano. I mean, what a crazy touch. And actually, there's an interview with Pierre Nagrin I think he did it with the perfume guy a long time ago, years ago. And he asked him, where did you find that? Where did you find that inspiration for oregano in the top? And he goes, I just love oregano in my pasta and stuff like that. So I figured I'd try it and it worked. Crazy, right? Thoughts on Jubilation Woman, considering picking it up, but now you have me interested in Fate Woman. I have never smelled Jubilation Woman, but AC from the channel Smells Good, who I trust, said that it is comparable to, he said that Jubilation Woman is comparable to Diaghilev. That's what he said. He said that if you don't want to drop $1,000 for a bottle of Diaghilev, go with Jubilation Woman. It'll still be expensive, but a couple hundred. Which, honestly, I love Diaghilev so much that I'm kind of scared to try Jubilation Woman because, I don't know. I just love Diaghilev so much. Like it's probably my favorite Roja. It made my top 10, I think, as far as my countdown went from the top 100. So if you like fragrances like Diaghilev, I think you'd like Jubilation Woman, but I've never smelled it. So that's just what AC from Smells Good said. Need to get out my Amouage Opus. Yes, that's right. Opus 6. I have a sample of that. I'll do an early impression video on Opus 6 one day. 700 plus full bottles. I know crazy stuff that Amouage doesn't make an appearance. That is crazy, JJ. Zero, none. That is well, you know, if you've been collecting like the vintages or the classic French perfumery, the Guerlains, the Chanels, the Diors, I can understand why you never went Amouage. But for someone that is interested in, I would say, the art of perfumery, I really like what they did under Christopher Chong because he gave zero fucks about what people thought. I really, truly believe he did it for the art form. He didn't do it to sell bottles. And, you know, Sultan Bin Al-Kus, I can't remember the Sultan's name that founded the House of Amouage, but basically the idea of the House of Amouage, and this is actually a brilliant stroke by Sultan Bin Al-Kus. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Forgive me. I'm not being rude. I just literally can't remember his name. But the Sultan who founded the House of Amouage, he said, you know, we're a country in the Middle East. People know us for being an oil country that exports oil. I want something that's going to allow our people to identify with the country, something more beautiful, right, than just oil. And as it turns out, Oman has a very large and long shoreline. A lot of people don't know this, but there's a very large coast on Oman. And naturally, because of the way that the currents flow, they estimate something like 20 to 30% of natural ambergris, of the world's ambergris that washes up on shores, washes up on Omani shores. A lot of people don't know that, but they have a ton of natural ambergris that washes up on their shores. And so he thought, you know what better way to rally the people behind a better cause than just we export oil, right? So Amouage, literally, the reason that the slogan of Amouage is called the gift of kings is because if you were like a dignitary or, you know, somebody important, if the Secretary of State went to Oman, for example, they would give them a bottle of Amouage. And what they would actually give them is a bottle of gold. So this is actually gold, Gentleman's EDT. I think this came out in the 90s, but they would give them the original bottle of Gold Man. That's what the original slogan looked like. And it was the gift of kings because they literally just gifted it. And then they ended up starting to sell it, of course. But for the longest time, Amouage was owned by the Sultan of Oman. It was his brand, his company. And, you know, they were able to somehow circumnavigate some of the, some of the business monetary pressures that were put on houses to sell, because Sultan bin al-Kush, I keep thinking it's bin al-Kush, but I can't think of how to pronounce his name. He didn't have the pressures of shareholders breathing down his neck and that kind of thing. And so if you smell some of these early Amouages, Jubilation 25, my God, Jubilation 25. If you don't like Jubilation 25, JJ, oh my God. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Bertrand Duchefort anyway, and I'm a huge fan of honey, as you can see from Pavarotti. I was mentioning how much I love Pavarotti earlier. The honey in Jubilation 25 with the blackberry and the oud and just, I know it's hyped to high heaven on YouTube, but Jubilation 25 is a straight out and out masterpiece. And I know people use that word all the time and people use it too much and blah, blah, blah. Jubilation 25 is a straight masterpiece. It has this bay leaf note that is out of this world, just mixes. The bay leaf kind of does what the oregano does with Interlude Man. It just adds this crazy twist. Celery seeds, oak moss, but it's all of the stuff, from Oman, the beautiful white frankincense and ambergris, which is a big part of it, like I said, because of the currents of the world, washing the ambergris up on the shores, myrrh, opopanax, oud, patchouli, just, it's such a beautiful fragrance. And the honey, it's so good. But, if you go and pay attention to some of the fragrances early on, Epic Man, even some of these insane releases like Myths Man. Myths Man is such a artistic fragrance. This is chrysanthemum flower in the opening, which, can you name me another fragrance with chrysanthemum in it? And instead of that beautiful Omani frankincense we were talking about, there's ash in here, literal ash. And frankincense is a funeral flower. So it's such an introspective fragrance. Someone bought this actually on my recommendation, one of my subscribers, and he reported back that he absolutely loves it. It's such a unique, I think there's a leather note in Mitts, but that artistic, make you think of life and death. Oh, there's iris, beautiful purple iris, like the color of the bottle. And there's a rum note, but it's not too bad. But someone said the audio is terrible. If that's true, I apologize. If the audio is awful, let's see. I'm about to have to run anyways, but let's see if I can mess with the mic. How about now? Is it any better? Let's go to the actual comments. Can you guys hear me? Thumbs up, thumbs down, yes or no? That might just be a sign that it's time to go. It just got hollow a second ago. Okay. Well, I hope you guys can hear me. Okay, good. So yes, chrysanthemum with iris, rose, vetiver, elemi, rum, labdanum, ash, and leather. If you're in the market for just a unique, artistic, daring, I mean, who releases a fragrance for men that has chrysanthemum and ash? Someone in one of the comments, I can't remember if it was Parfumo, Fragrantica, or Base Notes, said this smells like a nightmare. And while I disagree, I think it's hilarious because that's what just a casual fragrance, if you're someone that wears Bleu de Chanel, Sauvage, you would smell this and go, oh, it smells like my grandmother's purse after she lit a cigarette and it dropped in her purse and, burned the inside of her purse. That's what it smells like. That's what they would say. That is kind of what it smells like, actually. But for me, as a fragrance lover, this is absolutely stunning. So, all right, someone's saying audio is okay. So that's good. I missed so many comments. I apologize about not. I need to figure out how to give somebody. Yes, they did make some money on it for sure, and new investors have came in. So if you look, let me see if I can show you guys this. I don't know if it'll pick it up well or not, but I'll try. So the old bottles. Okay, so this is an old bottle of Diamant, and this is what the bottom of the box looks like. The older ones even more so. But if you look right under where it says Made in Oman, you can see it says Oman Perfumery LLC, and that's it, nothing else. Oman Perfumery LLC. That's how you can tell that the bottle is at least sufficiently old to some extent before one of the more recent changeovers. And if you catch one of the new bottles, all right, so here is, this bottle of Interlude is probably 5 years old, maybe 6 years old. And you can see down below, made in UK, which now Amouage moved all of their facilities back to made in Oman, but it says Amouage SAOC. Okay, so it's not Oman Perfumery LLC, it's Amouage SAOC. Okay, and then if you go to an even newer bottle, this one also says Amouage SAOC. Okay, but anyways, that's one way that you can tell. The older bottles say Oman Perfumery LLC. And then if you find the really old stuff, like this little pouch right here, this is one of the original bottles of Gold Woman. Well, not the original. The original looked amazing, by the way. If you've ever seen it, there's a picture that Russian Adam sent me. He found an original Gold Woman bottle, and it comes in this almost like this this square, elaborate case that went over the bottle, almost like Guerlain used to do these little cases like this. This is plastic around the bottle, but it was just so elaborate and beautiful. And so obviously this isn't the original, but if you look right here, the bottom of the really old bottles, will it pick it up? Will it pick it up? Can you see it? It says Sultan of Oman. The really old bottles right here say Sultan of Oman. So forget Oman Perfumery LLC, just Sultan, right? Sultan of Oman owns this. Made by Amouage LLC, Sultan of Oman. So just an interesting little backstory on the brand. I absolutely love the brand. I love what they have done. I was busy collecting his frags for L'Artisan. Yes, that's right. He did have some beauties for L'Artisan. What's interesting, though, since you mentioned that, if you get a chance, okay, since you're big into L'Artisan, JJ, I would recommend check out Diamant and compare it to Zonka, okay? So get Dia and compare it to Zonka and look at how he played with the incense note versus the peony, because there is a peony note in Zonka. Most people don't remember that. They remember the lychee, right? There's a very interesting lychee note in Zonka, but they don't remember the note of peony. And you will definitely see similarities. I think Diamant was 2002, And I think Zonka was 2004, if I'm not mistaken. Hope you're doing well, Bob. I hope my audio's fixed. Not for summer, but good for all seasons. Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of wear whatever you want. That's honestly what I've turned into. I used to try to do the summer winter thing, and it just got to the point where, I was wearing fragrances I didn't want to wear just to fit a season. You know what I mean? Like, I really would want to wear, let's say, Zonka, since I have it in my hand, but I wouldn't wear it because I wouldn't think it would fit the weather. And so I would wear something that I hated or didn't enjoy wearing as much. And in the back of my mind, wishing I could wear Zonka. When I have the bottle, it's in my collection, but I just had this arbitrary rule where summer is summer fragrances and winter's winter. And in Texas, we get 9 months of summer. So I said, screw that. I'm just going to wear what I want when I want. And ever since then, actually, I've enjoyed my collection much more. The purple bottle. It's absolutely stunning. I don't know if they do 50 ml bottles anymore, but this Mitz man is one of those unsung heroes of Amouage. No one really talks about it. And so you can find these for a very good price. And I don't know if you can see the dent, but my juice is like right here. And this is a little 50 ml. And I've had this was a buy as soon as it came out in 2016. I used to blind buy all my Amouages. As soon as it would come out, buy it, because I trusted Christopher Chong. And I actually did. I'll tell you the one that broke the camel's back for me is this. This is Boundless. So Boundless is the one that broke the camel's back. And while I enjoy the fragrance, I was disappointed. I didn't like the way that the house went with Boundless. I didn't like the development of the fragrance. It opens up okay. It opens up with this CO2 ginger, like thing. Let's see if the notes are on here. Are the notes on here? Let's see. Boundless. So this was 2021. I blind bought this just as soon as it came out because, I actually skipped Meander, and I didn't care for whatever the other one that came out with Meander is, Enclave or whatever the heck they called. I didn't care for those two. Even though they were nice, they weren't Amouages to me. And I said, okay, here we go. A tobacco, spicy, woody fragrance. And I saw the notes and I went, I'm buying that. And I blind bought it. And it has this blood orange cardamom opening. And it is a beautiful, spicy opening, but it evolves. This is a Karine Vichon Spanner fragrance, by the way. It evolves into this amber wood mess, basically. The tobacco isn't as much as I would have liked it to be. There is a little bit of cacao here, but it's buried behind amber woods. So it just kind of turns into this, like they didn't care enough to work the dry down out properly. And I just, I linked the two with the creative director changing. I didn't like Enclave and Meander. And while I've listened to the interviews that Persolaise did with Renee Salmon, I really enjoy listening to him talk. And nice. Flower tea. I did not know that, JJ. That's cool. Keep going, Sheriff. While I enjoy Renee Salmon's speaking and I enjoy listening to, him talk on his role in Amouage and all that stuff, I just did not like what they did. Even removing the you know, Boundless is the first fragrance that came in the masculine box, but it isn't Boundless Man and Boundless Woman. They released Boundless and they released Material, two different fragrances, but Material's in the woman's bottle, Boundless is in the men's bottle. I like the fact that Amouage did Lyric Man and Lyric Woman, or Miss Man and Miss Woman. I know that's like not proper to say because everything's going towards unisex nowadays. And as you can see, I have no problem wearing women's fragrances. I love Opium. I love Shalamar. This made my top 10. Shalamar is one of my favorite fragrances of all time. I wore it to bed the other night and I just melted. It was so beautiful. But I liked the men and women. I liked having specific delineating lines between the two fragrances. So he removed that, and then his releases were just subpar. So while I am curious to see the new Amouage Royal Tobacco, he made a very interesting case on it that, thank you, JJ. Yeah, it's, he made an interesting case that, you know, Oman and, you know, the places in the Caribbean where Cuba, where they roll the cigars beautifully, are on the same parallel, you know, and he made this lovely case on the lectors and all that stuff. Even this Royal Tobacco, while it sounds interesting, doesn't seem or feel like an Amouage to me. And everything Christopher Chong did, even some of the wacky, crazy stuff, just felt like an you know, it just felt like it had that Amouage DNA at heart, and then they were able to build a unique story around it. And I feel like they've kind of lost that, you know. But that's just my opinion. You know, someone once left me a comment on here saying, "Oh, you hate Xerjoff, but you like Amouage? Unsubscribe," or whatever. And you know, I don't care about stuff like that, but I could see somebody smelling modern Amouage and thinking, "Oh, they're not as good. Maybe they've been reformulated," which I don't know. I haven't smelled the new stuff. If you'll notice, there's been a lot of different bottles. Like, for example, if you look at my Amouage bottles, you'll notice that the name is on the collar right here. You can see the name on the collar, and it's not written on the front. It just says the name of the house. The name of the fragrance was written on the sides in the old days, okay? Or even some of them not even on the sides, like the Diamant, the older one, I showed you the older batch code. It's not written on the sides at all, right? It's only written on the collar right here. It's the only way you can know it's Dia, right? So they've done some reformulations. They took the name off the collar of Boundless and they put it on the front. And they did the same for all of their fragrances. It's no longer written on the side, which is just a change in the bottling, which is fine. I don't care about that. But with that, people are saying has come reformulations, right? And now we hear about the discontinuation of Fate Woman and Fate Man, which, if it's true, it's the first major discontinuation they've done of a fragrance since Chong left. So, I mean, let me know what you think about that. Hey, Dusan, good to see you, my friend. For those of you who joined late, I just wanted to do this quick stream because we were going to do a, today was going to be the day we were going to do a interview with Russian Adam, and he couldn't make it. Unfortunately, he was sick, so we postponed it for a couple days. So I just figured I'd hop on and chat for a little bit about some fragrance stuff that was on my mind. You know, we talked about the difference between hidden gems and unicorns, which the Scented Devil talked about the other day, and I thought it was a brilliant idea because there's a lot of vintage fragrances with short ingredient lists, like I mentioned Basil Uomo, that are not considered to be unicorns, or not fetching $500, $1,000, and you can still, if you're into vintage fragrances, you can still get the ones with the big oak moss and all that stuff and not pay an arm and a leg. And then we started talking about the discontinuation of Fate Woman, and we just went down this Amouage path, which I have no problem doing. I absolutely love it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't have the best setup, as you can see, but pretty soon, maybe I will try to get a professional setup with all the super chats you guys were kind enough to send me. You know, maybe I'll get a boom mic, or I don't know how to set any of this stuff up though. I'm just doing this off of my phone. So, you know, maybe I will actually take the time to. So Figment is the one I don't have. It's the one missing in my collection. If I owned a bottle of Figment, I would have everything Christopher Chong did, except the library collection. I only have one from the library collection. So the only one that I have from the library collection is Opus 11, unfortunately. And it's a tester bottle. So I got the cheap cap. But Opus 11 is very similar. It's a niche version of this. Opus 11 is a niche version of Gucci Guilty Absolute. So these two are, you probably don't need both. If you have Gucci Guilty Absolute, you probably don't need Opus 11, and vice versa. They're very, very close. Even though the notes are different, and I think this has a little bit more vetiver, and this has a little bit more of that synthetic oud / frankincense thing. They are very close. Very, very close. Lick the stream. Thank you. You guys have been way too kind. Yeah, man. I do love Amouage. You guys have been way too kind to me for a random stream. I mean, there's 33 people listening to me just ramble about fragrances. Oh, we talked about Liz Moore's potentially doing an interview with me, which is an absolute pleasure and an honor. Liz, if you're watching this, thank you. It was really good chatting with you the other day, and I look forward to having you on one day. So we talked about some of her fragrances because she sent me her sample set very kindly. So I have a lot of stuff to go through. I've got a lot of first impression videos and all that stuff. Hopefully we'll be able to drop the yes, actually I am not familiar with those, JJ. I'll check those out. There's some Bertrand Duchaufours I've never smelled before. Thanks, Holly. Good to have you. 2006. Yes, that's right. Thank you, Dusan. But if you get a chance, JJ, compare Diaman and Zonka, and I think you'll see his, you know, master at work structure. I mean, Bertrand Duchaufour makes fragrances like nobody else. I know, and Mr. Smelly joined, and he gave me a super chat. I got my first super chat today. I feel blessed. You guys are amazing, seriously. Fashion Obal, I still have not smelled that, Justin. I know you told me about it long ago, and I put it on the back burner, but I will hopefully smell it one day soon. You get huge amber woods, and yeah, there is a little bit of that, but I think Bertrand Duchaufour just did a much better job of blending it in and hiding it. But I love Jubilation 25. I mean, I know there's a big dose of ISO-E or whatever it is, amber woods, but I'm a huge fan. Exquisite Pain. Wow. Not familiar with that one. BDSM. Sorry, Bob. I worked all day. Your sarcasm went right over my head for half a second there until I caught on, till my brain caught up. Elizabeth Taylor Passion. That is that's a hidden gem. That's a great example of a hidden gem. Even though Chris from Scentland talked about it, I've talked about it. I think Rich Mitch talked about it. You know, Elizabeth Taylor Passion for Men is one that just never caught on. And I think it's because there are different versions. I don't know them all. I can tell you the one that I have, though. It says Elizabeth Taylor Passion for Men, distributed, copyright Parfums International. So mine is Parfums International. I don't know if it's better or that's the real old one, or there's older ones or newer ones. All I know is my bottle from Parfums International is absolutely amazing. And I think I got this 4.2 ounce for like 20 bucks, 4 ounce, 118 mil. What a weird size. I think the new ones are 120. I think they did standardize it. But yes, Passion for Men is an absolute gem for the price, for what you get. Shalamar all the time. Yeah, man. I have never smelled Shalamar Cologne. I prefer the Eau de Parfum. Most Guerlains, I prefer the Eau de Toilette. Shalamar is one of the ones that I prefer the Eau de Parfum. The 80s bottle that I have of Shalamar is actually a Parfums de Toilette. You probably won't be able to see it because it's really dirty. But it's the Parfums de Toilette, which is what they called Eau de Parfums in the 80s. Making more after trying to fix the terrible reforms that were there when he came in, which I can respect. Ah, Ma Liberté, Brad, that's a beautiful fragrance. For people who are out there dropping $1,000 on Patou Pour Homme, I would highly urge you to spend $100 and get Ma Liberté in any formulation. I have the Eau de Parfum, but the Eau de Toilette I hear is quite good. Galen loves the Eau de Toilette. Yes, I absolutely agree with this. Most of the ladies' heavy oak moss animalic sheepers of the 70s and 80s are far more masculine than today's masculine suite. Is spot on. Absolutely spot on. EDT just picked it up. That is a great buy. I'm glad you got that, Brad. That is an amazing fragrance for women that I think is very masculine. Today, that would be a masculine fragrance. I think there's a large dose of lavender in Ma Liberté. Love Fate, top 5. Really? Are you talking about Fate Woman? Do more live streams. All right, it's hard for me. I will. You know, I usually have been using this for That's right. It has been almost 2 hours. 2 hours, I'm out. That's my limit. But I was just using StreamYard for the interviews, basically, because I don't know how else to share these interviews with you guys. But if you guys are a fan of the streams, I will try to do them occasionally. I don't know if I want to do them all the time. Yes. I mean, since I know it's comparable to Diaghilev, I think I will. I think I will love Jubilation for Women. Their YouTube videos, yes, yeah. Anubis is outrageous. I'm a huge fan of the two fragrances from Liz Moore, Anubis and Salome. Huge fan. Thank you, Mr. Smelly. It's good to have you. It's good to have a legend. You're an OG in the community now. Us young bucks need you. I really struggle with the dryness of Zonka. Really? Very interesting, Eugene. I thought you loved dry fragrances. I'll have to circle back with you on that one, brother. All of Liz Moore's scents are wonderful. She takes her time and develops. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I haven't tried the rest of her stuff, but I'm very excited to dive into some of that other stuff. The one I'm most excited about is a fragrance called Dryad. I've never smelled it, but just by looking at the note listing, Dryad seems like it'll be right up my alley. That and Tobacco Rose. Someone said there's no tobacco in Tobacco Rose. Interesting. Very interesting. And she was kind enough to say she would do an interview with me, which is kind of shocking because I consider her to be a big name and I'm just a little channel. So I'll be glad to have her on. She must know this is where the real fragrance lovers live. A luxury humidor. Really interesting. You mean Jubilation Women? Welcome, Jonathan. I was just saying that, you know, Russian Adam couldn't make it. He was sick, so I'm knocking out the Ken Stabler and the boys from me growing up in New York. Ken Stabler and the boys. You were a Raiders fan, Bob. I'm a huge Raider fan. Yes, Guerlain Louis. Which is that the old school one from the 20s or the one Terry Bossa released like a decade ago with what's her face? Duchefort is asking, do you like his Chypre Palatin? Abso-freaking-lutely. I love Chypre Palatin, and I wish I had a full bottle, but I don't. I've got this decant, but it's a 30 ml decant. It'll last me, but it's one of my favorite Ducheforts. I am a huge fan of Chypre Palatin. It's my favorite MDCI. It's one of my favorite Chypres, actually. It's kind of a Chypre Oriental, just like Fate Woman, to be honest with you. I would put these two in the same category, even though this smells much more like vintage opium with an amouage twist. This is much more modern with Bertrand Duchefort's twist to it, you know, with his DNA. And I think this is one of the only Bertrand Duchefort fragrances I own that doesn't have an incense note. Or if there is, he just kind of stuck it in there just at the last second. What year is my Abbey Rouge EDT Splash? I don't know. What year is it? Good night, Adam. Thank you for joining. Stream. I have samples I need to send you, Rams. I have so many samples. I mean, bring them on. I will gladly talk about them. As you can tell, I will talk about any fragrance. I go everywhere. I do not discriminate when it comes to fragrances. I will wear anything, women's, men's, old school, new school, niche, cheap, you know, vintage, modern. I mean, hell, I even have a bottle of Sauvage. Where is my Sauvage? Yes, I have a bottle of Sauvage. I mean, it's the Parfum, because that's the one I can stand. But actually, if I had to buy a bottle of Sauvage right now, I would buy the Elixir. I think that's the best version of Sauvage. I think Eugene is right. I smelled it at a Sephora, and I completely agree with you. Hello, Professor. Yes, in Texas, in the USA. You got to try Passion for Women. Ah, really? Elizabeth Taylor Passion for Women. Okay. This is the 2-minute countdown. I'm running it 2 hours. Because this was supposed to be just a fast stream. Yes. Okay. I agree. I'm a huge Raider fan. You might have seen my shirts occasionally, but I got to make it out to Vegas. Nice. Yeah, I actually, well, I went to the Bay many a times to see Raider games. There's always Niner fans out there. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Chypre Palatin. Ah, Songe d'un Bois de Et, the modern Bois Mysterio or the old school Bois Mysterio. Honestly, mate, you do not have to do that. Seriously. I mean, I would not turn it down because, you know, from the very beginning, I said I didn't want any free bottles from brands. I would accept a friend. Heinke sent me this bottle of explosive I was talking about earlier. Heinke actually sent me this. It's the only bottle in my collection I didn't pay for with my own money. So I would definitely take a bottle of Chypre Palatin. But honestly, you don't have to do that, man. It's a lot of money, and as you can see, I still have a lot of juice left in my decant. So, but it is amazing. I mean, it is an amazing fragrance. If you've never smelled Chypre Palatin, Not true. Yeah, that was the good old days when the sign said, the sign on the door said, we have two rules. Rule number one, cheating is encouraged. Rule number two, see rule number one. But damn, man, those football games, that was football back then. The crap we have now is sarcastaball. Yes, fresh haircut. I remember that. He did cut his finger off in the middle of the game, and he kept playing. The good old days. I will come with a shirt at least next time. See here with my short pants. Eugene has a 99.98% bottle of Sauvage EDT. Yes, that's right. Actually, I think I've only worn this once or twice. The juice is right about here. But you know what? The Parfum version, if it wasn't for the fact that I smell this on everyone, everywhere I go, I wouldn't be so upset about wearing it, because I do like, there's a little bit of this LME, and Euro Rose says there's really high class musk in that fragrance as well. Oh, that's a longer story than we have, interference. Montana. Just want to say hi before you end the stream. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you to everyone who joined. Thank you to everyone that sent me a super chat. That was unexpected and uncalled for. You guys don't have to do that, seriously. I mean, it's appreciated, but you don't have to do that. I'm sorry that I thank you, Mike, for ending on a high note. I'm sorry that I'm sorry we didn't do the interview today. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I love interacting with you guys in any way possible. Thank you for joining the random stream that I put together last second, and I'm riding solo. But I think it went well. We talked about a lot of stuff. I mean, 2 hours we chatted about stuff. So there's obviously topics to talk about. You guys don't mind hearing me ramble. But yeah. Next live, how Ramsey became a Raider fan. It's really not that interesting of a story, but it is a story. But, you know, thank you everyone for the support. Hopefully I will be doing another one of these, but it'll be me on one side and Russian Adam on another. I think we still have more Super Bowls than you guys, though. But I'll tell you, growing up in Texas, my parents bought me an Eagle jersey from like TJ Maxx for $10, and I refused to wear it. It was a Ricky Waters jersey. How about that for a throwback name? But that was one thing I could not do. Not a Lonesome Rider. Tower is. Yes, that's right. I do love Lonesome Rider, though. Thanks for hanging out with me, everyone, on this random stream. And very much looking forward to the Russian Adam interview in the next day or two. I hope he is getting well. In the meantime, I hope you get well too, Eugene. And thanks again, everyone. Cheers. It was very fun. I really enjoyed doing this. I will try to do this more. I promise. So cheers, guys. Thanks for joining the stream. Bye now.